You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, you can reach out to me directly, 800, again, 306-1990, 800-306-1990. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender on Ron Siegel Radio. Holly McDonald is with us. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you again, if you have any questions, give me a call at 800-306-1990. What are we going to celebrate today? We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. National Prosecco Day. And I guess maybe we should have used that as our question of the day, Josh, is National Prosecco. Do people like Prosecco? I'm more of a red wine guy. I guess in the summer you're supposed to be drinking some of the lighter colors, but Merlots, Zinfandels, that's my cup of tea. It's also National Filet Mignon Day. Okay, we can get a good filet. But the question of the day, filet mignon or ribeye? What's your preference? Put it in the chat. If you're listening to us live on ABC News and Talk, yell it in your car. Yell it at your radio. We will hear you. So just go ahead and yell. Well, we're listening. Filet mignon or ribeye? I like the ribeye a little better. That's my personal preference. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's up 243 points. The S&P 500 is up 60. The NASDAQ up 293. Oil, nice. It's down $1.45 a barrel. As gas prices, do we want to look at them? Well, maybe we'll talk about that in just a minute because, okay, I can't keep my mouth shut and I get myself in some trouble every once in a while, like only when I'm talking. But here's the issue. So I'm in a bit of a debate on one of the buzz sites. And it is unfortunate, but there's a restaurant at the Orange Circle. I'm not a big fan of the restaurant. I don't wish ill on any business, though. The restaurant is going out of business, a place called Felix, and it's in the Orange Circle. And they're citing their reason for going out of business is because their rent is going up $7,000 a month. $7,000 a month. Ow! Yeah, that's painful. And I can understand that's pretty challenging for a lot of people. But, you know, there's a whole long stream in there, and most of the people in the stream are saying it's all about corporate greed. All about greed. So I just had to pipe in. And I made a fairly lengthy response talking about the subject. And, you know, I don't believe in corporate greed. I look at it and say, you know something? Corporations have to make money. Well, there is one individual that came in there and was chastising me. And to quote, I'm not going to give her name, but it says, yes, we need to reelect red politicians to give corporations and billionaires bigger tax cuts. Oh, and to control women. And let's just stop having wildfires so our insurance rates come down. Because I referenced in my commentary that, you know something, do we have to maybe look at ourselves? Are we to blame for some of these different issues that are going on? Is it us that's making the are our elected officials. We elect politicians. You know, the city of Orange has a huge budget deficit. Well, whose fault is that? Well, the politicians, maybe they're doing just what they're elected to do. So maybe it's us that should be changing who we vote for. The state of California has more regulations, and I made a comment that I don't know the landlord situation. But, you know, in California, we've got some of the highest insurance prices in the entire country. There are 11 states that, according to AAA this morning, their gas prices are under $3.23 a gallon. Now, I don't know what you're paying for gasoline in your neighborhood, but again, according to AAA, the price of gasoline in California is on average $4.60 a gallon. Well, that's going to affect landlords as well. Our insurance is, if you can get it, is amongst the highest in the country. Well, the individual here that made this comment is basically blasting me that, you know, about all these different issues. So my response is very, very simple. First off, corporations do not pay taxes. Corporations never pay taxes. Corporations collect taxes. Who do they collect them from? Everybody. I've never gone into McDonald's or Starbucks or Felix's, which I don't really go to anyway, or any other restaurant, and see a column that says, here's the price if you're a billionaire, and here's the price if you're not a billionaire, right? They collect taxes from everybody. They add it into their prices. They collect it and they forward it. So you want to raise taxes on a corporation? Just say, why don't you just tax me more, raise my prices? That's what's going to happen there. Now, you look at it and you say, okay, wildfires. I'll throw that one in there also. I had an opportunity a few years back to interview a fire chief. And off air, we couldn't talk about this on air. And I said, why don't we have backfires anymore? And would that minimize some of the destruction of the wildfires? And he said, yeah, Ron, it would. But for environmental reasons, we don't do the backfires anymore. I don't know enough about environmental issues. That's not my specialty. But what's worse for the environment, backfires or wildfires? I don't know the answer. Again, I'm not sure which it is. And women's rights, that's your own issue. But I'm going to share you what my thought is. I don't like the idea of 9 unelected individuals making the rules for everybody else. You know, let's have the people that we elect make these laws, and whatever way the law goes because it's the will of the people, not 9 unelected individuals. We'll see what happens. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. I know I'm going to get some more crazy messages and hate mail and whatnot, but you know, bring the things to an election, vote on it. That's how we get our voices heard in this country. It's a shame to me that we have so much where we want to rely on the Supreme Court to make these rules. They're supposed to enforce rules, not make them. At least that's the way I learned the information when I went to school. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, there's some big changes coming in real estate and how we get to see real estate or view real estate coming up. We're going to talk about that. Is affordability starting to improve? We'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is, you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less? All without having to spend more each month than you spend right now. Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at RonIsMyLender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. RonIsMyLender.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, the Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates, with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Remember, they tell us the actual locked rate, the rate that goes into the mortgage calculator to tell you your principal and interest payment. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or APR. What happened on the rates yesterday? Conventional rates rose 6.513 on a 30-year fixed. 30-year jumbo loan, 6.912. That was up. FHA, 30-year fixed, 6.357. VA, 30-year fixed, 6.037. Clean sweep, USDA, that was the 30-year fixed. That was up to 6.329. If you want our thoughts about the market each and every morning, as early as the data allows, we put out a report, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. That gives you our thoughts about the market. Let's see what's going on already this morning in the markets. So we can take a look and see that the, if I can find it here, the S&P 500 is now up 62.42. 10-year Treasury down 4 basis points. That's the yield on that bond. 3.86 is the yield. Now, the bond price of the mortgage-backed security bond. Remember, price and yield always move opposite directions, just mathematics. The 30-year mortgage bond is now up 18 basis points, which means interest rates are down a little bit today from yesterday. All that information is available on that super secret website, google.com. What's not easily found is, why is this happening? Well, we got some good inflation numbers again this morning. This is the Producer Price Index. This is the Federal Reserve likes the personal consumption expenditure report. Well, that's what you and I are paying for things. The companies that we buy goods and services from, that the companies that supply our vendors or our stores, is the Producer Price Index. And that measures wholesale or producer inflation, rose 0.1% in July, cooler than the 0.2% expected. Year over year, producer inflation fell from an upwardly revised 2.7, it was 2.6, to 2.2. This figure was beneath estimates of 2.3, even with the upward revision. Core rate, which strips out food and energy, which people don't, for those that don't need any food or energy, came in at 0% last month, much cooler than the 2% expected. Year over year, core PPI fell from 3% to 2.4%. Yippee! That's good news right there. Much lower than the 2.7 expected. Goods, food, and energy prices all rose, and even still, we had some very benign readings due to services declining. Good sign, as the Fed said, that last year the decline in inflation was not sustainable because most of it was coming from goods prices deceleration, and services were still elevated. And we are now seeing services prices moving lower, which is what the Fed wants. Bottom line, producer inflation came in much lower than estimates, and the bond market is responding favorably. So let me explain this to you real quick. Just think about this concept, and those of you that know me know that I am a little bit oversized. Well, maybe I'm a lot oversized. So if I'm going throughout a year and I'm gaining 5 pounds every month, not a good deal. But if I get in doing some right things and I'm only gaining 3 pounds a month, does that mean I'm losing weight? Or does that mean I'm just doing better than I was at 5 pounds? That's what's happening with the Producer Price Index, is it's still going up, just not going up as much as it was going up. So we are heading in the right direction. I am still forecasting. This is my opinion, and you can hold me to it if you want. And one of the beauties of radio is Josh tracks all these things. If I'm right, we're going to share this with you in September. If I'm wrong, we just won't talk about it. So I'm forecasting that the Federal Reserve is going to drop rates by at least 0.5% at their September meeting. Just my opinion. We'll see what happens. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Today, we're thrilled to have Holly McDonald, a seasoned realtor who's been shaping the coastal Orange County market since 2009, with a unique background as a TV producer for HGTV and a passion for community engagement. Holly is here to share her expertise on the latest buyer changes with the National Association of Realtors and how to uncover the best opportunities in your community. Let's dive in and explore the evolving world of real estate with Holly McDonald. Welcome.
Hi, thanks again for having me.
Glad to have you with us. So I guess being that there's nothing going on in the world of real estate, nothing new, and it's been a quiet, since I guess Halloween time. What are you seeing? Where's the market heading? What are some of the changes that you're going to foresee coming up?
Well, the main thing, of course, is that we are going to see changes in how the real estate industry operates. Buyers moving forward need to sign agreements with their agents before they even tour houses, which is very, very different from how it's been done in the past.
So if that's the case, and I know you're right, but what's going to happen? We've got a huge issue in privacy. We've got a huge issue in um, commitment. What happens to the person that says, you know something, Holly, I want to go see these houses, and I don't want to sign an agreement. I have no problem working with you. If we find something, I want you to be paid. But why do I need to sign an agreement before, it's kind of like I look at it, we're getting married before we even dated.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that is a challenge, and I think a lot of people are just going to have to wrap their heads around it. I can't speak for other agents. I know I personally will be enforcing the agreements. There are strong penalties if we don't, and I do want to follow the rules. But I think for buyers, there are certainly different ways you can mitigate it. The agreements are non-exclusive and exclusive, so you do have options. You can also
okay, back up there.
Yeah.
Explain what that means. So if I sign an agreement with you, I can sign this to say, I'm working with Holly, but I might be working with 10 other people also.
Well, in theory you can, but you have to be very specific about the properties that you're going to be working on with each agent. So you can limit it to different counties, to different cities, even to property specific that you're going to tour with that particular agent. And then that agent would be representing you on that property.
So who benefits from this change? Or does anybody benefit, or is it just causing a little bit of chaos?
Well, it is causing a lot of confusion, but ultimately it is for transparency for both buyers and for sellers. For the buyers, they are committing to how much they're going to pay or have their agent receive for representing them. Whereas in the past, the buyers had not much say so because the compensation was offered from the listing agents and the sellers.
So does that mean the buyers are going to have to start paying more money now, being that I look at it and say, if I have an agent or I know an agent, being that I have a license, I always disclose that I'm not qualified, just like a lot of real estate agents, they're not qualified. I have a license. I'm not qualified to write a contract. I'm not qualified to go and do all the things that you as a professional do. Mm-hmm. It's easy to get a license. I mean, it's easier to get a real estate license than a license to cut hair, and I don't even have any hair. But I digress. So you never see prices going down. So if a house is selling for $1 million or $1.2 million in Orange County, and historically it would have a 5 or 6 or 7% commission built into that. Mm-hmm. Is it still going to have the same commission built into it? Now you just have to add more for the buyer side?
No, not necessarily. So, I mean, the contracts have all changed for the sellers as well when they submit a listing. So moving forward, the sellers are only putting on the listing how much they're going to be compensating their broker. So the one representing them. Now, as far as what a buyer's agent would be offered, sellers can still agree to offer compensation to, assist the buyers, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to be advertised. It's not part of the MLS, and that's all going to be very negotiable moving forward.
Yeah, that's good. It seems to me, I don't know. I'm just, as a consumer advocate, I look at it and I say, they got to a point where, regardless of what the courts in Missouri say, it was always something that could be negotiated, mm-hmm. right? The buyer wasn't really doing much of the negotiations, but they could. The seller and the listing agent could negotiate whatever they wanted to do. And now, and it got to a point where it was even showing up on some of these syndications on the websites saying buyer's agent compensation 2%, 2.5%, nothing. When you take that away, doesn't that make it less transparent then?
Well, so it's going to be a matter of buyers asking sellers for however much they need. So a buyer could ultimately agree to pay their agent out of their own pocket. However, they can also, in their offer, ask the seller to pay whatever fee is that they agree to with their agent. So if they have an agent that's requesting a lower amount that they have an agreement for, say they're working with an agent that says, I'll represent you, my fee is 1%. Then the buyer can go back and ask the seller for 1% to cover that. But if the fee that they have an agreement for is higher, they can ask the seller for, let's say, 2.5% or 3% for that consideration.
Okay, so as the buyer, I'm having to negotiate more. And it seems to me the other thing that's going to come up is I'm going to have to do more shopping for realtors now, aren't I, as a buyer?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's a nice thing in the way that buyers and their agents will have more of a relationship. Just like when you're a seller and you're selling your property, you typically do interview a couple of agents to get a good feel for what sort of services they provide and how they'll be marketing your home. And now with the buyers, they're going to be learning what sort of services their agents will be providing for them above and beyond just like finding the property.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting situation there, because I'm going to submit that the average person doesn't have a clue all the things that you're doing in the background.
Well, and that's our job to educate them, because there's so many things that go into the whole transaction.
Right. I mean, but do you find the same thing? I mean, people say, well, Holly, all you did was wrote up a contract and submitted it, and there was nothing else to it. You make it look so easy.
Of course, but there's a lot behind it.
Right, exactly. And so now you're going to have to spend more time and so as this consumer, then I pretty much have to get a spreadsheet going and saying, okay, Holly does this, but I don't even know what I need to ask. You're going to have a whole presentation package, I guess, for that now, right?
It's basically like a listing presentation, but for the buyers. Yes.
Interesting. We're going to continue this conversation with Holly McDonald when we come back. We're going to also get into one of my favorite areas of the entire country. I love the coastal area, so we're going to talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the first Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com. Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
We're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Is affordability starting to improve? Over the past couple of years, a lot of people have had a hard time buying a home. And while affordability is still tight, there are signs it's getting a little better and might keep improving throughout the rest of the year. Lawrence Yoon, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, NAR, says, quote, housing affordability is improving ever so modestly, but is it moving in the right direction? Here's a look at the latest data on the three biggest factors affecting home affordability: mortgage rates, home prices, and wages. Number one, mortgage rates have been volatile this year, bouncing around from mid-6s to low 7% range, but there's some good news. Data from Freddie Mac shows that rates have been trending down overall since May. Mortgage rates have improved lately, in part because of recent economic employment and inflation data. Moving forward, some rate volatility is to be expected, but if future economic data continues to show signs of cooling, experts say mortgage rates could keep going down. Even a small drop can help you out. When rates decline, it's easier to afford the home you want because your monthly payment will be lower. Just don't expect them to go back down to 3%. I sure hope they don't go to 3%. Why? Because that means our economy is in the tank. That's why they go down that low. Just think about that. Number two, home prices. Second big thing to think about is home prices nationally. They're still going up this year, but not as fast as they did a couple years ago. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490 video feed, and FM 98.1 video feed, you're seeing a chart of home prices. This is from Case Shiller to illustrate that if you're thinking about buying a home, slower price growth is good news. Home prices went up a lot during the pandemic, making it hard for many people to buy. Now with prices rising more slowly, notice I said rising more slowly, buying a home may feel less out of reach. As Odetta Cushy, Deputy Chief Economist of First American, says, quote, while housing affordability is low for potential first-time home buyers, slowing price appreciation and lower mortgage rates could help. So the dream of home ownership is not boarded up just yet, unquote. Wages, another factor helping the affordability is rising wages. Do we have a graph on that one, Josh? I know I sent this to you real late. Of course he has it. So we've got our graph here of wages. It's coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics to show how wages have increased over time. If you're watching it again, look at the blue dotted line. It shows how wages usually go up in a typical year. On the right side of the graph, you'll see wages are rising even faster than normal right now. That's the green line. This helps you because if your income increases, it's easier to afford a home. That's because you won't have to spend as much of your paycheck on your monthly mortgage payment. Bottom line, when you put all these factors together, you see mortgage rates are trending down, home prices are rising more slowly, wages are going up faster than usual. Though affordability is a challenge, these trends are early signs things might be starting to improve. And as I've shared with you many times, and I will share it until I stop doing these shows and stop talking to people, strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. Working with a lender who's working in conjunction with a real estate professional, the right strategy might be able to help folks. We were consulting a family yesterday, and they're trying to buy a new house for their family, and they're looking at placing an offer well above the list price and asking for a small concession, a rate concession. And they're going to get almost a full percentage point. Actually, it's almost 1.5 points below what yesterday's rates were because of using the proper strategy to accomplish their goal. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation, Holly McDonald from Compass is with us out there in the coastal communities. Okay, I'll say it. It's God's country. You're out there, and I've got location envy, Holly.
Oh, thank you.
Are you in Newport Beach?
My office is in Newport. I live in Huntington.
Okay, so It's got to be a rough drive from where you live to the office then. Of course, this time of year you probably got a bit of traffic, don't you?
Actually, no, not really.
Really? Okay. So you're in Huntington. Okay, so I don't get to Huntington as much, but we do have tickets for the air show, so we're going to be looking forward to that one.
Oh yes, we love that.
So tell me about the coastal communities. Is it getting at all affordable, or is it just for the affluent? Is it do you ever have a first time home buyer there?
Oh yeah, we definitely have our first time home buyers here. Obviously, your expectations might have to be set a little bit lower depending on what you're looking for. There are other areas of Orange County where you can get more for your money, but we do have a lot of first time buyers. And I've seen a lot of first time buyers be able to, start with something small and modest, but their equity and appreciation goes up, pretty well. And then they're able to move on to the next property.
So do you spend time with folks when you're consulting with them about these longer or shorter goals that they might have?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that it's good for them to know like what their options are. And ultimately, a lot of people, they feel uncomfortable or they feel discouraged when they want something, like they want their dream house, but a lot of people don't get their dream house first. And it's the steps you take to get there that make it easier to achieve.
That always fascinates me. And I think it might you as well, that you'll get somebody that comes in and they're used to, they're living in I don't know, even if it's a nice 2-bedroom apartment or condo, and their first step, they want to go, okay, I want that 4-bedroom house with a white picket fence and a pool.
Yeah.
Generally, that's not the first, the stepping stones, is it?
Generally not. I mean, I certainly have had some clients that have been able to, get a pretty good size first time starter house for themselves. But generally you start with something small, and it's not going to be your 4+ bedroom, 2,000+ square foot house. It's usually going to be something a little bit smaller that you're in for 3 to 5 years.
So how do you define small in Newport and Huntington Beach? Is it, because I look at some of them and I see, 800 square feet. And then I look other areas, you move, just a few blocks inland, and you can be looking at, a couple of thousand square feet for something in the smaller sizes.
That is a blanket term. It very much depends on the person's budget and what they're comfortable with. If you're looking in Costa Mesa or Huntington Beach, you can still get townhomes and condos that are about 800 square feet for a reasonable price, like under 700,000-800,000, which may not sound reasonable depending on where you are, but for the area, it is more reasonable compared to the average price and the median price of homes.
Well, when you're talking about, $700,000-800,000, Orange County median price, I didn't look it up today, but that was what, 1.2 million just for a median price in Orange County.
Yeah.
So that's pretty reasonable right there.
Yes. And then, I've always encouraged my clients that they're able to hold on to their properties before they, move up to their next one as an investment. That's gold. That's a great idea. But if they can't, they can certainly use their appreciation, their equity, and use that to parlay it into a larger home, larger down payment.
It's amazing how many people don't contemplate that. I was consulting a family over the weekend, and they hadn't even thought about the idea of keeping their existing property, pull some equity out for the down payment on the new one, and what they can do. Now, I don't believe it's going to happen. There are those people out there that believe prices are going to drop. Do you see much change? Are the coastal communities affected as much as some of the inland communities?
With regards to
price fluctuations?
No, I haven't noticed that to be the case. Obviously, if you're in a great financial recession, the crisis, yes, that's one thing. But no, I haven't seen that. I've honestly only seen prices go up.
Yeah, it seems that it's my experience in watching has been that the prices go up. If they do, even in the Great Recession, they went down less in the coastal communities than in other areas, and they rebounded faster in the coastal communities.
They tend to hold their value. I mean, we're talking about, we have an inventory shortage all over Orange County. And then when you limit it to just the coastal areas where we already have a limited supply of homes, that it like makes it that much bigger.
Okay, so that was going to be my next thought is, do you see those inventory shortages when you start talking, because you've got properties there that are multi-million-dollar homes. Do you get inventory shortages there? The days on the market short there as well?
Overall, the days on the market are quite short. In the like upper end luxury homes, it is starting to drag out a little bit more than it was. That's always going to be the price point that's going to sit on the market the longest because there's less people that can afford it. But overall, we're still seeing inventory shortages and short days on market.
So if I'm out shopping for an agent, is that something that for a listing agent?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that I would be asking about? Is what their history is? Is that something that agents track? Is what their history is of days on the market or comparing their pricing to list price to sales price? Are those things that are trackable numbers?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that is tracked and that we put into our presentations to show the sellers that, this is how we operate and this is what you can expect from us. I think on the flip side, for buyers, it's also something that we talk about so that they realize, one, the pressure if they find a good property that they don't want to let it go. They don't want to linger on it too long. And also we have to let them know about off-market opportunities too, because we have limited inventory around the county, but we also know about opportunities that are, not necessarily listed on the major websites or the MLS. So you definitely want to talk to an agent to find out what their expertise is with that.
That's a big issue. Explain that a little bit more because, I always thought that a lot of folks think that that it's required to put the property on the MLS, the multiple listing service, and then it gets out to all the syndications of Zillow and Redfin and all the other websites. That's not the case?
It's not the case. Not all sellers want their properties to be listed all over the place and they want more privacy. And some sellers are a little bit on the fence, or maybe it's something that they're thinking about down the line, but if the right offer came to them now, they would consider it. So we have contacts with people that are ultimately thinking and open to receiving an offer.
So when we come back, I want to talk about two issues, privacy, and I also want to talk about the idea there of make me move. So let's talk about both of those when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the first Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. Just want to quickly remind you the Home Select product, yes, it is still the absolute best loan on the market. I can say it because I understand it. It's what they call an offset loan, brought to in part to the United States about 20 years ago by Richard Branson. Banks don't like us to talk about it because they don't make as much money on it. But we're still looking at people with effective interest rates under 3%. Yes, it is a 30-year loan. It does give you a lot of liquidity. So as we've been talking about in the broadcast today, the idea of being able to take some money out of your property and parlay it, buy in other real estate. I think I looked, the only time in the last 40 or 50 years when real estate did not go up in a 10-year period was if you bought a home in the year 2006. That was the only time out of all those years. And yes, I do have the charts to back it up. But the idea here is, what if you had the liquidity of your house being paid off in under 8 years in most cases? You have the 30-year loan, but you've got the liquidity to be able to take and use that money to buy something else. Home Select offers that. If you want information on it, rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. That is the Borrow Smart segment. Remember, strategy beats rate always. Continue our conversation. Holly McDonald is with us this morning. We're chatting about a couple issues now. You're talking about in this day and age, and I'm not getting political at all. We just by stats that we're seeing. You can't turn on the news anymore and not see home invasions and robberies and all kinds of issues. And Holly, you're in some markets that are fairly affluent. Is there a big issue with people wanting to not have pictures of their property online and whatnot for privacy's sake?
Yeah, certainly some sellers are more private, whether or not it's because they have, expensive items or they just don't want people to be nosy. I know that might seem like counteractive to you want to sell your house, so you need to show it, but sometimes you do have those privacy issues and you have to honor them. And then that's why sometimes sellers don't want to put their homes on the public market or out there with a bunch of photos.
So as a professional in those areas, how do you counsel people to accomplish their sales goals if they're that limiting? Is there strategies in the area that you're able to employ?
Yeah, we certainly have marketing strategies that we can use to assist our sellers. Ultimately, our goal is to help them sell their property and get them the most exposure and most price. Now, if the exposure piece is taken away, what we can do is we can use our network. We can work with our, the other agents in our brokerage. We can talk to other agents in the area that we might know could have a buyer for that property. So, and sometimes buyers are coming to us asking if we know properties in specific areas, if that's areas that we cater to. So we're able to kind of work with the property and help the seller accomplish what they want without putting it on the multiple listing service, because that's a request.
Okay, so you can honor the owner's request at that point.
Of course.
Yeah, and Compass is nationwide, worldwide? I don't even know. I know there's a lot of offices.
Yeah, we're nationwide, and we do have some offices internationally now too.
So is there a method within you going to somebody like yourself within a big organization? Mm-hmm. Are there going to be benefits there than going to XYZ mom and pop realtor?
Well, since we have such a wide reach and we do have such a strong technology platform, there are certainly advantages that, anybody thinking about selling or buying can utilize to, have connection with these off-market properties.
Now, the other thought that we wanted to chat with you a little bit about was, I know that there was a nationwide corporation, a syndicator that used to use this. They might have even used the same name. I don't know. Make Me Move. Mm-hmm. So if I came to you and said, hey, Holly, I've got a budget of, I don't know, in your area, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, whatever the number is, and I want to live in this geographic area. Mm-hmm. Are there ways that you're able to try and help me find something like that?
Oh, yes, of course. And there are actually a large number of properties that sell in our area that don't ever hit the multiple listing service. And I know sometimes clients will get frustrated because they'll see an alert come up for a new home in their area, but it's already sold. And they're like, how did I miss it? Well, that's because agents are networking and doing their job. They're getting their feet on the ground and they're looking for properties that'll work for their buyers. I mean, in a way, with the new buyer representation agreements, it gives the buyer's agents more incentive to get their butt in gear and go find the properties that their buyers are looking for if they don't exist on the market.
Well, again, as a individual that has a license, not qualified to do real estate, being me, you look at it and you say, okay, something. It's more reason that I promote, the professional real estate agent who's doing this full time as a career, and not as a hobby. Sometime part time, spare time, because you're not doing maybe not doing your consumer, be the buyer or the seller, quite the service that they deserve when they're making a massive transaction. Your thoughts?
Well, I think there's a lot that, there's a whole range of services that realtors can provide, and some provide more than others, just like in any other industry. So, I think for the sellers, typically we've always known that they're interviewing multiple agents. Not all are, some have a family connection or whatnot, and that's fine. But for the ones that are interviewing multiple agents, they're evaluating what the services are that they provide against their fee. Now, the same thing comes into play for buyers. And like we talked about before, I think a lot of buyers are going to be sitting down and doing these consultations and getting educated on what agents can do for them so that they really do earn what they're asking the buyers to be responsible for.
Well, I'm going to suggest also that as a real estate professional, real estate agent, I'm not paying you for my transactions. So just similar to an attorney. I'm not paying an attorney for my lawsuit or a CPA for my tax return. I'm paying you for all those years that you've had of experience that you're bringing to the table to make this happen, aren't I?
100%. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into every transaction. There's a lot of things that you don't know as a buyer that you need to be aware of. And that's where your agent's expertise can really come in handy. As a buyer, some buyers that are coming in don't even realize that there's an inspection process and all of these things that to most agents are second nature, but we have to make sure the buyers understand that we're doing these steps and providing all of this information to protect their best interests. They're making a huge investment.
Absolutely. And on the other side, the last time I'm not a lawyer, but the last time I heard that ignorance is not a defense in a lawsuit. If you're listing a property and you're not giving out the right disclosures, if you try and do it yourself, you're still responsible for that. All those, I don't even know what it is. 100 pages now that you guys have to disclose.
Well, yeah, we have a ton of disclosures that have to be provided. And I think, when you work with an agent that's with a brokerage that has a really good compliance department and make sure that all of those forms are, reviewed, part of the package, that protects you as well, because you're making sure that nothing's been left unturned.
Have you ever kind of a trick question for you. Have you ever had a transaction where there was not a hiccup? I know you know how to navigate them.
Yeah.
But do you ever come across them that are just everything goes exactly perfect?
I would say that most transactions are pretty seamless. They're all going to have their little bumps in the road and, unexpected surprises. And part of our job is to try to manage those and not have the buyers freak out, because, there's a lot of things that might sound more scary than they actually are. And there are things that sound less major and they're actually really big deals. So our job is to help explain and manage their stress. I've had deals that have gone very pleasantly, smoothly, where it's, wow, how did that go so well? But overall, I'd say every deal does need, you need all of your teammates, everybody that's involved on their A game. And that's what we strive to do for every deal.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've often said that, half the hiccups that come up, the consumer, whether it's a buyer or the seller, I know on the lending side, we're dealing mostly with the buyers, but half the hiccups that come up, they never even know about. They're just handled in the back end. And
goodness.
right.
that would really be a way to, be a buzzkill and also bring undue stress to them. That our job is to try to solve those problems.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming in and being with us and sharing your expertise. I know there's going to be a lot of changes coming up in real estate. The consumers have no idea about most of it because they don't deal with this every day like we do. So I really appreciate you coming in. And if you want to meet Holly McDonald, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.